In this tutorial, I will show you how to export Shopify products with complete data using Excelify app. So I'm now inside the Excelify app, and you can see there's this export section. And when you press new export, you can basically do the export of all kinds of things, basically the whole data that you have in your Shopify store. But we will concentrate on products. So first of all, we choose the format. There can be the Excel file, the CSV file in Excelify template format, and some other formats that we cover in our different tutorials. And here you can select the products, and it will show you the groups of columns that you can select to export. And so it shows that here we have 19 columns, and here we have some 2 additional columns. And here in the Advanced tab, you can see what exact columns these are. Like, for example, you can choose some other things, and here you can see those columns, and you can arrange them as you like. Here, for example, you want the vendor to be the first column, and maybe you want to remove the body HTML because it's too large and you don't want to do with anything. You don't want to do anything with it, so you don't need it, and so on. You can basically remove those columns. You can here you can choose them in this way. For example, add some options, or select the whole group here, or basically select everything. In that way, you will have all the columns here that are possible to export for products. In total, there are like 59 columns. Yeah, but first of all, let me walk you through each of the column groups. So basic columns, these are like columns that describe each product on a product level, like ID, handle, command, which is specific to Excelify, where you can specify whether to update or delete the product when you import it back. The title, the gift card, and like all the basic columns, right? And then you can add collection columns, and those are basically custom collections and smart collections. So what it will give you 2 additional columns that will show in which collections each of the products are, and they will contain basically the list of handles, comma separated handles of those collections where they are located. Selecting the collection columns for products will significantly slow down your product's export, because for each product it will have to ask Shopify in which collections this product is located. So think twice before choosing this if you really need it to appear on your product sheet, because alternatively you can select here a specific smart collections and custom collection sheets to be included in your export file, and this will be much faster. Just this data will be on a separate Excel sheet in the same file. But if you have to, please choose it. You will have to wait a bit longer, but it will be there. Then comes the variants, basically the inventory and variants data, which is like the variant ID, the options, all the weight, the position, the price, the compared price, and everything that describes each variant. So it will repeat for each variant, it will repeat additional row in your export file. Then you can add additionally the variant cost. It's a separate group because it also makes your export slower, because we have to additionally ask Shopify for each of the variants what's their cost. But again, if you need it, it's there. Then you can include additionally the customs information, which is these variant HS code and the country of origin for shipping and customs. Then there is this multi-location inventory levels. And what it means, basically it's a group of columns for each of your locations, because in Shopify, as you know, you can have inventory on different locations, and so each location will have its own inventory available, and inventory available adjust columns that you can import also. Like, for example, you can import adjustments for each of the location inventory quantities. So we will include that. Also note that it's a slow export, so it will add some time to your. And notice that when you change this the estimate changes. So it's very rough approximate estimate for how long it will take based on the average. But of course each individual store is different, so when you press the export, only then you will, after some initial items, you will see the more precise estimate about your own store. And then basically if we continue about the columns, there's image columns like image source, the command again, which will allow you to delete or merge images to the existing products, the image position, the width, the height, the alt text, everything that you need. And then comes the Metafields and variant Metafields. Also, those are slow, but as you know, in Shopify you can add additionally the custom fields or custom information to your products and any kind of items. And so these will add additional columns to your export with this data. And so yes, when you have chosen what you need to export, you can, as I said, you can rearrange those columns as you need. For example, if you are working with some formulas which need specific column order, then you can set them as you need, or you need to prepare some file that you send someone. All right, and so then you can apply filters. So those will filter products which will be included into your export. So you can filter by the ID, for example, equals to any of, and here you can add comma separated list of IDs. And one quick trick, usually when you have some long list of IDs that you need to filter by, like here comes some IDs, for example, right? You have some list of IDs that you need to filter by. You can just add a comma here next to it like this, and then you can copy these and just paste here and press add filter, and it will filter only those products by ID. So what else? You can filter by handle. The same way, you can choose to handle to be equal to any of and put comma separated handles in this filter, or contains any of. So the handle can be, for example, everything that contains a bag inside of the handle, right? And you can put or a dog, right? And you will have all the handles that contain, are not equal to, but contain a bag or a dog words. So what else? The title, the same kind of way, contains any of, equals to any of, matches pattern, which is basically here is described how you can match the pattern of the title. With a star, you say that it can contain any kind of length text, and with a question mark you can say that there is one symbol. So, and you can even say that title contains none of, if you want to exclude some specific products. The same for body HTML, it contains and doesn't contain a specific text. The same with the vendor type, the tags. The date is a bit different. So created at, for example, you can filter created at by like on or after. This is mean that I can choose that everything since the 1st of April, for example, right? Or everything before 1st of April, and or on or before, right? The date range is I choose any like 2 dates, so I want everything between those days to be included in my export. Or the relative date is that I choose how many last, for example, days or months, for example. But note here, it's very important to understand that if I choose like last 1 days, it means that it will include only the full yesterday in this export, and since today is not finished yet, so it will not include today, because it takes the whole days here in this interval. And for example, if I set like last 5 hours, it will again include last 5 full hours except the current hour. And that's very useful if you want to make a scheduled repeated automatic exports, also that you can do it with Excelify to basically, for example, I want to set up an export to run every day for previous last 1 days. and so it will always guarantee to include the whole yesterday, no matter if, for example, if the scheduled job starts like some seconds after today, it will always include full one previous day. What else about filters? The same way you can filter by updated date, when the product was updated, or when it was published, or by the published status, whether it's published or unpublished, or the collection. And here basically you can say, okay, I want only products that are in only this particular collection. And you can provide other collection IDs, like comma separated collection IDs, or their handles or their titles. So I will show you how to find the collection ID, for example, if you want to export only products that are private jets collection, for example, right? Then you can just open this collection and copy here this ID from the top. That's a one way, right? And paste this ID here and press add filter, and it will export only products that are in this collection and was created yesterday, right? And as I said, you can add several collections, comma separated, and of course also you can set not equals to any of, so whatever collection IDs or handles or titles you will add here, it will export everything except that collection. For example, you have some huge large collection that you don't want to include in this particular export, you can basically exclude any products that are in this huge collection. The same way you can filter by the SKU, contains any of, not equal to any of, and starts with any of. Everything, I want everything that starts with SKU something. Here it's important to note that since the SKU is the attribute of the variant, and each product can have several variants, you are filtering by SKU, but with this you are saying, I want to have all the products that have this kind of SKU among their variants. But the export will have all the variants of this product if it will get included in the export. So you can be sure that if it will find this SKU, you will have whole product exported. The same with the barcode, the variant weight, like equals to or less than, greater than, or so. The same with price, and with the inventory quantity also, less than, greater than, or equals. So okay, yeah, I'll just remove all the filters so that we can see all the products, and I will make sure we have all our columns included so that we can see them. Now to options. So you can select several options here. For example, here the first option will export the items in the exact order as they come from Shopify. That's if you need your products to come out really sorted, because as you know, for the enterprise and the big plans we have, I will show you here for the big and enterprise plans, we have increased speed. For big plan, there's a 5 times increase in speed, and enterprise is 10 or more times depending on your API call limit for your store. But what this means is that we, whenever you do an export or import, we spin off, for example, for enterprise, there are 10 parallel processes working on your store. It's like 10 apps exporting at the same time to maximize the speed. But logically, if something happens in parallel, then we can't guarantee that they will come out in the same order as they are, like in Shopify, sorted. So if the sorting order is important, then you can click this checkbox, but note that this will be a bit slower export. So the next option is if you need to schedule your export to run on a certain date in the future, like and time, these are hours, like at 3 o'clock in the night on 26th of April. And the next option is for you to repeat this export like every 1 days, like every day until canceled. So it's going to export forever, and it's very good for cases when you want to back up your store, right? you just select everything you want to back up and make it export every day at 3 o'clock. So these two work together. The first time you choose will be the first time it will run, and then it will repeat at whatever intervals you set. Like you can even choose like to run every minute if you really need to do it very often. And then you can assign a custom file name for the export, and also you can have like dynamic placeholders for your file name to include a year and month and day and hour, minutes, and so on. And here's a link that shows you all the options that you can have. And if you don't put anything, we will just generate a nice name that let's like export and with the date and time. But you can write your own file name. For example, if you want to automate your exported data further, for example, export, I could just, for example, name it export, and it will always have this same URL which you can grab and then allow scripts to read from that same URL and for example copy to the other store with automatic import. And if you have chosen to export not to the Excel but to the CSV file, you can choose whether to zip or not to zip the CSV files. Zipping the CSV files will make them smaller, but again, if you zip them, you will need to unzip them, and maybe you want to use it in Google Sheets or somewhere. So you need to choose whether you want them to be zipped or no. And you can choose to upload your exported file to the FTP or SFTP server. Yeah, so we will not change anything here, just to show you the what can be exported. And so since we are on enterprise plan, you see that as soon as it started to export, the time significantly drops because it's spinning off those 10 parallel processes, and it's exporting faster than it initially estimated. So 3 seconds to go. Done. Okay, so now we download the exported file, and you see that by default the file name is like export, the date, the year, month, and day, underscore, hours, minutes, seconds. So 23, no, 04 and 40 seconds. And so if we look inside, this format is very similar to the Shopify default format, but it just has more data fields that you can work with. First of all, it's the ID, and then the handle, the command. As I mentioned, there's this update, and you can update this by default, but you can change it, for example, to delete if you want to delete those products. So the title, body HTML, and so on, all of the columns. For example, the gift card. So if you have the gift card product, it will show as true here. So those are the gift card products. The URL, which takes you to the product page on your website. Then this one, the row number, basically shows you the row number because for when you want to import it back, it's best that you have your file sorted so that all the handles of the same product are together. And so how to achieve it, if you are doing some changes that you wanted to sort your file by price, right? And you want to do some manipulations here on a price, and then whoops, you have changed the sorting, and so all the handles are not together anymore. And so you can always come back to this row number and sort it by the row number, and it will jump back to what the original export order was of those rows. Here the next is the top row, and if it says true, then it means it's the top row of this product. So if you, for example, if you see here this one, this product has 3 variants, and that's why it takes up 3 rows. But there is some data on the top row, for example, here in the body HTML, and so it helps you to identify which are the top rows if you want to do something with them. Then comes custom collections column, and here you can see that for each product there's just like comma separated collection handles, so that those are basically also human readable, but also when you import back to Shopify this column, we can precisely identify which collection you mean this product needs to be in. The same with smart collections, just those cannot be imported back, but again you can then know in which smart collections each of those products are. And there is this variant inventory ID, the variant command if you need to like add or remove any variants of existing products. Then the options, the option name value, variant position, the SKU, the barcode, the variant image, weight units, the price, compare price, whether the variant is taxable, the variant tax code, the inventory tracker, the variant inventory policy, whether to continue or deny if you are about to oversell your product. Then what's the fulfillment service, whether it's a manual fulfillment or it's some fulfillment service that you have enabled for your store, whether it requires shipping, the inventory quantity. And here, since the Shopify now has this multi-location inventory quantity tracking, so this inventory quantity is basically export only field, and it shows a total quantity of all your inventory across all your locations. And here we can see columns for each location. For example, here inventory available in this location, and here we can see that, okay, we have some quantities on this location, and here also something. So, and also here something. So each location has its own quantity visible as columns, and you can edit them and you can import them back. You can adjust the inventory quantity, of course, and edit the variant cost and the variant HS code and the country of origin and the image source. So here in this column, each image is placed into its own row. So also that's why, for example, this product, it has 3 images, so it's being repeated 3 times, although it has only 2 variants. You see, there are 2 variants, so there's filled only 2 variant rows for this product, and the third is empty. It's because it has 3 images and they are put here. And so the image SRC link is no way related to the variant image. So the variant image is separately here in the variant image. Here, the variant image. Here you put the variant image for each variant. But the images, they just live their own life. Yeah, they take as many rows as there are images. Also the image command that you can merge or delete images. The image position, which you can also change when importing. The image width is just for you to see. You can't, width and height, you can't change them. You can just see how big the images are and, for example, optimize them based on their size. And the alt text, it's matching against also each URL. You can see what kind of alt text there is. What else? Then comes basically the Metafield columns, and your store basically can have thousands of Metafields. Like each product can have its own set of Metafields. And so what we are doing, we are dynamically putting each Metafield in its own column. And as you can see here, for example, there is a Metafield title tag. It's in the global namespace. That's where there is no namespace. But if there is a namespace, for example, here, this is a specs is a namespace. Then there is a dot here, and then there is a range, which is a Metafield name or key. And then there is, in these square brackets, there is a type, whether it's an integer or string or a JSON string, for example, like in this case. And you can also import them back as values for each of the Metafields. You can basically just add new columns with some Metafield namespace and key, and it will just create them for you. And so this title tag is an SEO title, and the description tag is SEO product description. And here notice that this is a Metafield and this is a variant Metafield. So these values are here against each of the variant rows, whereas this value for the Metafield is against the top row of each product. So yeah, I noticed that here at the bottom there is this product sheet name that if you are going to import it back, so you need to make sure it says products. But about importing, there are other tutorials that you are very welcome to watch. All right, then thank you for watching, and as always, in our website excelify.io you can find all the information, the tutorials, and definitely start with how it works. And that will set you up for the foundational knowledge on how to best use Excelify for everything that you need to do. And then there is this the whole documentation and tutorials section. And if you have any questions or issues or suggestions, just contact us here from any of those 3 channels or from inside the app. Here is this icon, and when we are online, this chat is online. You can chat with Renars, who is in our support, or if we are offline like now, you can just leave an offline message and we will reach you back as soon as we are online. See you inside Excelify.